That is how you can define the Ukraine war. Hallo allemaal, daar zijn we dan weer. RHTV live vanuit het mooie Maastricht. Ja, dit is hoe je een oorlog kunt definiëren. Ja. De globalisten die dus eigenlijk Zelensky in hun handen hebben. Ja, goed. We gaan kijken naar geopolitiek. En we streamen live vanuit het mooie Maastricht. Ja. Dus, we're going to look at geopolitics and we're going to look at history, of course. And we're going to look at what happened in Bahrain. You guys remember that? We will not forget, right? What happened in Bahrain. Go to the Middle East. Here we have Bahrain, small island, right? So, what happened in Bahrain? Well, people were protesting, and the government was heavy-handed with the people in Bahrain. So, we're going to take a look at what happened a couple of years ago. We shall not forget, right? We shall not forget this very impressive documentary, Bahrain Shouting in the Dark. Let's take a look at this here.
Bahrain, an island kingdom in the Arabian Gulf, where the Shia Muslim majority are ruled by a family from the Sunni minority, where people fighting for democratic rights broke the barriers of fear, only to find themselves alone and crushed. This is their story, and Al Jazeera is their witness, the only TV journalists who remained to follow their journey of hope to the carnage that followed. This is the Arab Revolution that was abandoned by the Arabs, forsaken by the West, and forgotten by the world.
I have not forgotten this.
With the world's cameras trained on Cairo and Tunis, on February 16th, we discovered what felt like a secret revolution. No lights, no TV crews, just a people shouting in the dark.
شيء في داخلي يعني لازم أشارك، لازم أروح. أنا ما كنت أقدر أقعد في البيت وأطالع بس التلفزيون، ما أقدر يعني.
Tens of thousands had come to Pearl Roundabout in the heart of the capital to call for democracy.
When I saw the crowd over there, really, it's the whole Bahrainis are here. It's the real revolution. Whoever was afraid, fear being broken on that day.
And it was all happening just 1 hour's drive from the oil fields of eastern Saudi Arabia, the fulcrum of the global economy.
طول هالسنوات احنا داخل قرانا individual كنا يعني الله وكل واحد لوحده. هذا نقطة البداية إلينا، بداية الحرية.
They went to bed that night in the street, believing they were already free.
These are violent images, and we're not going to show any more because this is all ages, right? So you are not free. You have to listen to your government, right? Now, what was going on in Bahrain? You have an absolute king, right? A monarchy without a constitution, without something that prevents him from, having absolute power, basically, right? You have to have a Congress and stuff. Well, he has absolute power, and there is a Congress over there, but they only adhere to, the king, and the people do not want that anymore. So protest, and lots of people wounded and end up in the hospital, right? Because of state intervention. The state did not want the people protesting anymore. You have to go home and stuff like that. And, people were arrested. Lots and lots of people were arrested. We will not forget this, Bahrain. We will not forget this. You are a proud people, right? You've been shouting in the dark, and I've been listening. I've been listening to your pleas. So, but this happened years ago in 2011 during the Arab Revolution. That is 12 years ago. So, and we haven't looked upon Bahrain in a while. So I kind of wonder what the situation is there now. But, probably it's stabilized. But we are keeping our eye on Bahrain, right? You are a proud people. You all came together and stood up against your government, right? So we're also going to take a look at a wedding that became a funeral. And this happened in Yemen, right? I'm trying to give you an insight on how the Houthis came into power in Yemen. So here we have an article, a wedding that became a funeral, U.S. drone attack on marriage procession in Yemen. Yeah. On December 12, 2013, United States aerial drone launched 4 Hellfire missiles on a convoy of 11 cars and pickup trucks during a counterterrorism operation in rural Yemen. The strike at least killed 12 men and wounded at least 15 others, 6 of them seriously. Yemen authorities initially described all those killed in the attack outside the city of Riyadh as terrorists. The U.S. government never officially acknowledged any role in the attack. Anyway, it was a marriage procession, right? And very long, lengthy article about that. So, and they deny this, right? This is U.S. foreign policy gone bad. Yeah. Very, very sad to see. And, many people were droned out of oblivion in Yemen, and many people rose up against their government, and the government had fled. They had fled towards Saudi Arabia, right? So Saudi Arabia tries to reinstall that government. while the Houthis came into power in Sana'a. So, I'm not making this up, right? Ja, even in Nederlands. De Houthis kwamen aan de macht door deze drone-aanvallen. Dit was gewoon een trouwerij, een processie van een trouwerij. En er was eigenlijk helemaal niks aan de hand. Maar zo'n drone die komt hoog vliegen en die ziet dan een target op de grond. Wie weet, het zijn terroristen. En huppla, wordt een knopje ingedrukt vanaf de andere kant van de wereld. En de drone die gaat wat bommen afschieten. En heel veel mensen dood en gewond. En dit is dus met kwade intent provoceren. Ja, provoceren tot een oorlog. Dus heel veel mensen zien dit niet. Nee, die zien dit niet. Die weten ook niet wat er nou aan de hand is in Bahrein en zoiets allemaal. Heel veel mensen interesseert het niet. Maar ons interesseert het wel, want we zijn onderdeel van dit planeet. En we moeten ook met elkaar omgaan, ongeacht de land waar je woont. En we willen vrede. Dat is wat we willen. End all the wars now. Right? We have to end the wars. And so, freedom, peace, and all the wars now. And I saw presidential candidate Ramaswamy talk about the Russia-China relation and what he will do as a president of the United States, which is try to break ties with Russia and China. They have an alliance together. And that is something he could put on table concerning Ukraine. Right? So, yeah, that is something you could put on table, but still, there's a lot more going on, you know. We're keeping our eyes on Sudan, right? There's still a civil war going on there, and we're going to take a look at some images from Sudan. Sudan, the world forgot. I have not forgotten about this, right? I know what's going on.
So, do you feel like the story of Sudan has been forgotten?
The story of Sudan, looking back from the end of 2023, is one that I find really dispiriting, actually. The Khartoum that I left, that I last saw in 2020, will never exist again. Not only are we dealing as Sudanese people with the weight of the country collapsing, but it's also having to deal with it in relative silence, in an international media context where there are other wars that people are paying more attention to. And it feels like the Sudanese people are mourning and grieving alone.
7 million people have been displaced. Over 1 million people are now refugees in neighboring countries. The amount of
Sudan, never forget you are not alone. We are watching, right? We are trying to report on what's happening over there. Now, there's a civil war going on. The army, between the army and paramilitary armies. So it's a very fluctuant state, you know, fluctuates. So, but we are keeping our eyes on Sudan.
Of death that has been recorded, according to UN numbers, at least 10,000, probably higher. So I think we do have one of the largest catastrophes of last year still unfolding and still ongoing.
This time 5 years ago, we were witnessing the beginning of protests that would hail the end of the Bashir regime.
Reports say that Sudan's military has forced President Omar al-Bashir to step down, ending 30 years of rule.
And there was this real period of excitement. It felt like, finally, we were going to be known for something apart from a genocide in Darfur, apart from the longest civil war on the African continent.
Sudan's December revolution really caught the world's attention as one of the most outstanding, largely nonviolent movement in recent decades. It provided images that I thought were very unforgettable. Many in the world will remember the image of Alat Salah, the young Sudanese woman who mounted a car, raised her hand, dressed in a traditional Sudanese tobe. The one image that, for me, that remained in my mind of that era really was April 6th, a few days before the removal of al-Bashir, was to see the amount of...
Even Nederlands voor de mensen. Hebben jullie die beelden gezien? Van deze vrouw die op een podium staat? Of hebben jullie die beelden gezien? Heeft de NOS dat afgedraaid? Gewoon een vraag, hè? Ik weet dat Roy meekijkt, misschien kan hij daarop antwoorden. Heb je dat gezien, Roy? Heb je deze beelden gezien bij de NOS? Ja, ik ben benieuwd. Ik ben benieuwd wat voor antwoord Roy de liefste geeft. Dus er kijken meer mensen mee. Maar have you guys seen these images on CNN? Even kijken, Roy die geeft antwoord op mijn vraag. Nope. Niet gezien. Nee. Maar de beelden zijn er wel. Dit is echt gebeurd. Dit is echt gebeurd. Het leger heeft dus samen met paramilitairen de regering omvergeworpen. Heel veel mensen waren blij, in extase en zoiets allemaal. En dat liep dus mis. Die samenwerking tussen leger en paramilitairen. Die gingen tegen elkaar vechten. Dat is dus de Sudan-oorlog. Ja, belangrijk dat we dit in beeld brengen. So you have the army and paramilitary forces overthrowing the government. People were happy, ecstatic, and stuff like that. And you know, it went from a good situation, they thought, into worse because the army and the paramilitary army were fighting against each other. Right? This is the Sudan War. Even kijken. Leo zegt, nooit wat gezien. Zoals zoveel wat ik elders wel gezien heb. Nou, daarom Leo, daarom kijken we ook naar Afrika. Ja. Dus, maar we spelen door.
Remember the image of Alat Salah, the young Sudanese woman who mounted a car, raised her hand, dressed in a traditional Sudanese tobe. The one image that, for me, that remained in my mind of that era really was April 6th, a few days before the removal of al-Bashir, was to see the amount of protesters in front of the army headquarters. I thought that was a game changer. To me, that signaled that the end of the government was near.
وعليه أعلن أنا وزير الدفاع رئيس اللجنة الأمنية العليا باقتلاع ذلك النظام والتحفظ على رأسه بعد اعتقاله في مكان آمن.
During this transitional period after the revolution of 2019, I think you could look at it and see this kind of Game of Thrones-like situation between two components of the military establishment.
They then, turned against each other. And that's what we saw in April 2023.
Basically, you have a power struggle within Sudan, right? I'm not making this up. This is the forgotten war. I do not forget. I watch and I report from the Netherlands, just behind my laptop, just trying to explain what's going on in the world so people have a better view, right? The Hague does not pay me to do this, nor does Washington, D.C., nor does the Kremlin, nor does Pyongyang, or name any other government. I do this because I have a moral sense that I have to do this, that I have to explain about this, right? So we're going to take a look at maybe the next president, Vivek Ramaswamy, who is on campaign right now, crossing Iowa, because Iowa is the first state that can elect their officials. So we're going to share those images. Ja, mensen, we kijken naar Iowa. Zo, Vivek Ramaswamy. Wie weet, misschien wordt dat de nieuwe president. Ja, niet deze gast, maar die komt er zo aan. Even kijken, even vooruitspoelen.
If you want to respect our norms, you're welcome to stay. We're going to have a Q&A. If not, you can get the hell out.
Respect our norms, then you can.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
If you're not respect our norms, then you have a Q&A.
You're free to sit down and join us when we open this to Q&A.
You're free to sit down.
You're free to sit down and open this for Q&A. And if not, you can excuse yourself.
Okay.
You want to let these people know what you think of them? Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Can I get one quick picture?
No, you can't. You can do it when everyone else does. You can do it when everybody else does. You can do it when everybody else does. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye, guys.
This is the super...
You see, this is what happens when you tell the truth, right? People attack you. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy, this is a very tumultuous start, but it calms down. And somewhere he talks about the Russia-China relation. Let's see what he has to say here.
She does for them. In many cases, allow them to swallow food. Now we have a system that will pay for all kinds of expensive pill-pushing behaviors. We have a system that will pay for expensive feeding tubes. But in many cases, will not pay for the simple procedures that allow them to actually live a better life. So in a Purva's case, she often does those without herself getting paid. That works for our family, thankfully, because we have lived the American dream. It doesn't work for our system. So the answer is we need a competitive health insurance marketplace, eliminate the health insurance antitrust exemptions that are the product of lobbying of competitive health insurance, and eliminate pharma's lobbying of the FDA to create barriers that stop competition from entering the market. Another part of pharma lobbying. Strip the vaccine manufacturers of their special liability protections that stop them from being sued, so we actually have justice for actual COVID vaccine industry. So there's pharma lobbying that goes up and down. How do we end the lobbying? I Here's the legislation I'm going to pass. Back to the young man who asked that first question. We'll try to get to this in the first year, too. If you have been, excuse me, sir, I'm being respectful to the gentleman who's asking the question here, rather than the paid puppets who have been paid here by other campaigns that are threatened by my rise. And so, sir, you're going to have, that's 2 strikes. I'm going to let you stay. But if you're going to be respectful to everybody else here and not shout while others are speaking, you get to stay. And if not, we're going to ask you to leave. Thank you for being here. Now, I'll tell you on the second piece about ending the lobbying, I mean, this is part of the problem with the corruption of the system. It's the super PACs and the influence of mega money in politics. I will ban any congressman or bureaucrat from lobbying the government for at least 10 years until after they've left that government. There's no reason for it. I'll ban congressmen and bureaucrats from trading individual stocks because there's no reason for them to be doing that while they're in office. You shouldn't be able to join the board of a company if you've regulated that company or passed laws that relate to that company during your time in office. And that should not be a left-wing idea or a right-wing idea. It's an American idea, and the people who don't want that are the very people who are lobbying for things like the CO2 pipeline. And so that's actually where you get a lot of that distortions in our healthcare system, the distortions in our green energy policy. And I think that's a big part of how we're going to fix this country is end that corruption. And that's going to take a candidate who isn't bought and paid for by that same system. My biggest donor is me. Our family, we have put close to $30 million of our hard-earned money already into this campaign, and we will stop at nothing because the inheritance we want to give our kids isn't just a bunch of green pieces of paper. It's the country that we grew up in, where we're able to live that American dream. We are lost right now as a country. We are directionless, rudderless, starving for purpose and meaning. Young people have lost their way. In my generation, I'm 38 years old. I'd be the youngest person ever to win the presidency and the youngest person to run for U.S. president as a Republican. I can tell you our generation is hungry for direction. Our Republican Party, for too long, we have just been running from something while we're guilty of that same corruption. I'm in this race to lead us to something, to our vision of what it means to be an American. I am an America First conservative, but to put
to the American dream, right? Now, George Carlin had said you have to be asleep to believe in the dream, but I do believe that beyond the hills of despair, there is opportunity, right? And there is opportunity that this guy can be president, a new guy, you know, someone who has not been in politics. That's what you guys wanted in Trump, right? Someone outside of the political sphere. Now this guy's outside of the political sphere, and I'm not paid by Ramaswamy to say this. I just want a better world, right? That's what I want. I don't want to see the world destabilized, and you know, there's so much going on. We have the Houthis in Yemen. Right? I showed you how it escalated, and they're attacking ships in the Red Sea. Now Egypt is also affected by this because there is the straits where all the ships go through, right? And yeah, now it's the Suez Canal. Now it's closed off, and this is also bad for the economy of Egypt, right? Every ship that passes through the Suez has to pay a lot of money, and that is a beneficiary for the economy in Egypt. So this is what's happening, people. This is what's happening. And we're also looking at Ethiopia, right? Now, they want a port, a harbor. And Eritrea does not give them a harbor. There is one in Djibouti, but they have to pay large amounts of money for that. and Somaliland, which is the English side of Somalia, wanted to be an independent state and had made kind of a deal with Ethiopia, but the Somali government said nope, they don't want to recognize Somaliland. And there is a line going to Kenya, but that is stalled as far as I know. So they want to harbor, and if they don't get one, they are prepared for war. Right? Dus we kijken ook naar Ethiopië. We hebben Sudan zo net laten zien. Ethiopië, ook heel belangrijk. Die willen een haven hebben. Eritrea geeft hun geen haven. Er is wel eentje in Djibouti waar ze heel veel voor moeten betalen. En er is ook één lijn dat helemaal naar Addis Ababa toe gaat. Maar ja, dat is, volgens die regering is dat een doelwit voor potentiële aanslagen en zo. Dus ze willen een port, een haven. Somaliland kan ze dat niet garanderen. Er was wel een onderdeelse tafel, deal gemaakt onder de tafel. En ja, dat gaat dus niet door, want Somalië zegt nee. Dan heb je wel een lijn naar Kenia toe, maar die is, zover ik het weet, is die ergens gestopt. Ja. Dus in Ethiopië zegt van nou, we hebben toch echt wel een haven nodig, anders wordt het oorlog. Hè. Anders wordt het oorlog. Dus dat houden we ook in de gaten. Hè. Ethiopië, erg belangrijk. En ja, de Sahel houden we natuurlijk ook in de gaten. Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, die landen die zijn coups gepleegd. En die hebben eigenlijk Frankrijk als koloniaal land hebben ze verwijderd. En ja, daar heb je ook nog Guinea, waar ook een coup is gepleegd. En daar hebben we ook nog Gabon. Hier is Gabon, ook een coup gepleegd. Dus ja, en dat is enigszins stabiel, zover ik het in kan zien. Maar de DRC, dat is nog altijd instabiel. En het kan zomaar overvloeien naar andere landen. Zoals we weten. Vroeger was het Zaire. Ja. En je had dus een interventie van 3 landen. En Oeganda, Rwanda en Burundi, die kwamen bij elkaar. Die hebben dus de regering omvergeworpen in Kinshasa. Die hebben daar de DRC van gemaakt. En zoveel jaar later heb je dus weer die 3 landen die dus de regering omver proberen te werpen die ze zelf geïnstalleerd hebben. Ja, en dat is de situatie daar. Het speelt al 20 jaar. En ja, het is nog altijd instabiel. So this used to be Zaire, right? You had 3 countries, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi, overthrowing the government, making it the Democratic Republic of the Congo, right? And several years later, the same countries try to overthrow the government they had installed in Kinshasa, right? So this is what's happening in the Democratic Republic of the Congo for some 20 odd years. So we're still looking at Venezuela and Guyana. that is on the radar, but as far as I can see, nothing has happened yet. Maybe they are going to annex Guyana, large part of Guyana. Who knows? We had the president of Guyana calling for international help, which would be the US and England and other allied forces. So that's what's going on there. We have in Ecuador basically big cleanup. You had the prison break in Ecuador where the drug baron came free and freed a lot of his thugs and goons and stuff like that. And they took over the news media, some TV show, and we're going to take a look at some images from Ecuador. See if we can find Ecuador TV takeover. We put that on the radar, right? Because it's very, very important. So we're going to take a look at what's happening in Ecuador. The TV takeover by the drug cartels and very, very violent situation in Ecuador. So I understand and wish to proceed.
An unfolding crisis in Ecuador where the president has declared a state of emergency, authorizing the military to step in. The situation playing out live on the air as masked gunmen storm a TV studio in the middle of a broadcast. Just one of the many incidents and attacks by terror groups.
Eyewitness News reporter Annabelle Munoz live now in our newsroom with this breaking story. Annabelle.
Mark and Giovanna, an already unstable situation in Ecuador has escalated further in just the last 24 hours. The country's president has now declared an internal armed conflict targeting nearly 24 gangs the government is describing as terrorist organizations. This follows the escape of now 2 gang leaders and dozens of others of men from prisons. It's an unusual scene and a terrifying one for those who lived it. In the middle of a live news broadcast in Guayaquil, Ecuador, several masked and armed men take over a TV station. Noises that sounded like gunshots could be heard in the background. One man is kicked in the face during the live feed, which continued for at least 15 minutes before the signal was cut off. Police snipers were positioned outside of the TV station. Inside, another man.
Oh, sorry, de mic was off. Ja, mensen, dit gebeurt in Ecuador. Het is van 4 dagen terug. We hebben het al eerder laten zien. Maar voor de mensen die het gemist hebben, ja, dit gebeurt nu. Het leger is ingezet tegen de kartels, die dus het land onveilig maken. En ja, wie weet hoe dit gaat aflopen. Who knows how this is going to resolve itself. You know, the government is putting in the army and fighting off the drug cartels. So who knows how this is going to end, right? So, yeah, this is happening all around the world, basically, because, you know, people are fed up with government, basically. Now, this is the cartels taking over in Ecuador, but we have other situations, as I've shown you, right? The Sudan war, and we haven't even talked about Ukraine, which is still hot on the map, fighting off a war, basically, We feel for the Ukrainian people, right? We know that the radicals are in Kiev and trying to take over the Donbas region. Now, you may say, wait a minute, Donbas is in Ukraine, right? That is true. But since 2014, they had declared themselves autonomous, right, from Kiev. Dus die regio's hebben zich autonoom verklaard van Kiev. Ze wouden niet meedoen aan de coup-regering. En dat provoceerde dus Kiev om de Donbass aan te vallen. Ja. Nou, we weten dat in het oosten van Oekraïne de wapens werden gefabriceerd voor de USSR, de Sovjet-Unie. Ja, dat weten we. Nou, wat zou jij gaan doen als jouw regering naar jouw provincie toe gaat met tanks en weet ik wat allemaal en zomaar uit het niets begint te schieten? Dan zou je toch terugvechten, neem ik aan. Nou, dat is dus in Oekraïne aan de hand. En sinds zij zich autonoom hebben verklaard van Kiev, Lugansk en Donetsk, hebben zich autonoom verklaard. Ja, die gingen toch aansluiten bij Rusland. Ik verzin dit niet, hè. Ik verzin dit niet. Dit gebeurt. So you have two autonomous states, right? Lugansk and Donetsk. And they said, nope, we're not going to recognize the coup. And so they, fought off against the coup government, and it's still going on. Now, Russia did everything in its power to prevent this. You had the Minsk agreement, right? Minsk is in Belarus. There we have Minsk. The Minsk agreement, and that was an agreement to get rid of the weapons in the Donbass area. And nope, Ukraine did not abide by the rules. So, they provoked it. Ze waren het aan het provoceren. Moskou heeft dus in Minsk een akkoord getekend, samen met Duitsland en Frankrijk en Engeland, om dus Oekraïne niet meer te faciliteren met wapens en zoiets allemaal. Maar dat is een lak aan, zoals elke politici hier in Europa. Ze luisteren niet naar ons. Nederland heeft ook gestemd niet mee te doen met de associatieverdrag in Oekraïne. Weten we dat nog? Toen hadden we nog zoiets, dat heette een referendum. Weten we dat nog? Vast niet, dat zijn we weer vergeten. Of een referendum wordt dan willekeurig gebruikt. Ja. Weet je hebt mensen die zeggen van, ja, maar de regering in Kiev, die heeft dat gewoon wettelijk, hebben ze dat gestemd. Ja, dat men Oekraïens moet gaan spreken in plaats van Russisch. Ja, jij moet Oekraïens praten. Nou, dat is toch iets totaal buitenaards voor de Nederlander. Als ik hier naar buiten loop, hoor ik allerlei talen. Ja. Dus, ja. Maar goed, dit gebeurt dus allemaal. We hebben ook de Krim, dat is ook al heel lang bevochten geweest. In 1853, zoek het maar op, als je me niet gelooft, 1853 had je ook een aanval op de Krim. Het heeft dan 3 jaar geduurd met geallieerden Engeland, Frankrijk en Turkije. Ja, dus dit gebeurt allemaal, of is allemaal gebeurd. Ja. En ja, we hebben het nog niet eens over Europa gehad. Grote boerenprotesten nog steeds gaande in Duitsland. Ja, er gaan al Nederlanders naar Duitsland toe. So big farmer protests still going on in Germany. Dutch people are going to Germany. And a lot of other people from other countries are going to Germany to give support to the farmer. Who knows how this will end, right? A revolution can always end the wrong way, as we've seen in Bahrain, right? So, even kijken hoe lang we bezig zijn. 48 minuten. Nou, er gebeurt nog veel meer. Ja. Zo hebben we dus de Duran, die meldt dat de economie van Rusland groeit. Ondanks de sancties die gevoerd worden en zoiets. Ja, de economie in Rusland groeit. We gaan even naar de Duran kijken. So the economy in Russia is growing, even though there are sanctions against Russia, right? The Duran reports. Russian economy expands, industrial surge.
Let's revisit the Russian economy. And Putin has said some interesting things about the Russian economy. Actually, he was, the other day, he was visiting a military hospital. And Putin said that the Russian economy is shifting towards an economy that is more heavily based on manufacturing and production and stuff like this, rather than energy. And he wanted to point that out. I thought that was interesting. And he said that the Russian economy is shifting now, and it's doing this while maintaining its growth, its levels of growth. So what is going on with the Russian economy?
Well, that is entirely correct. That's exactly what he did say. And it comes off the bat of various meetings that he's had with people who are active in the economy, not just, on the finance and macro side, but, people who are actually there, who are industrialists and people of this kind. He had a very, very interesting meeting with, I think his name is Sergei Chemezov, who is the CEO of Rostec. Now, Rostec is this absolutely colossal industrial conglomerate in Russia. It's sometimes compared with Samsung in South Korea. It's, that kind of scale in terms of the economy. It's huge, and it does huge numbers of different things. It builds ships, it builds machine tools, it builds every conceivable industrial product that you can imagine. It's, by the way, largely, though not entirely state-owned, and it encompasses most of the Russian military industrial complex. So they're the people who make the shells, the tanks, and all of that kind of thing. But anyway, this particular meeting was about civil aviation. And this person, this official, Chemezov, told Putin that Russia anticipates building 500 civil aircraft by 2030. That's in 6 years. Now, I have to say, that is an eye-watering figure. And I really do wonder how, sustainable and achievable that is. But this man said, look, we have massively modernized our factories over the last 10 years, and we are able to do this We have the designs. We've got the Sukhoi Superjet. We've got the MS-21. We've got the Tupolev 214. We've got them all ready. We got the engines. He talked a lot about aircraft engines, a topic which, by the way, I know quite a lot about because in another life I was involved to some extent in aerospace matters. We got the engine technology sorted out. We got all of those things. We got the production. We got the people. We do need more people.
Yeah. That's what happens when you wage a war, right? You need people. You need people for industrialization, right? And so many Russian lives are lost on the front lines in Ukraine, and so many Ukrainians are lost. People living with amputated legs. Amputated legs, right? People living in war. This is not a world that I want to live in. And the animation we showed in the beginning was an excellent definition of what's going on in the world. We have the globalists who have many politicians in their pocket, and we're going to take a look at what we started off with, and we're also going to show the real enemy as we do on RHTVLive. So here we go. Wait. So, Barracuda. Now in the Netherlands there's also a Barracuda, but that's a troll site. Let's take a look at this here. Stop Nazi Games. This is about the Bandera radicals who are in power in Ukraine. So, yep. We're going to close off with Natasha Meave. And then we close down.
My music sets me free, it's therapy. I hope it helps a few people. people other than me. I noticed many liked it better when I was angry. Took off, nowhere to be seen on my journey. Funny how that works. Start to feel better, and the people who claim to love me start to feel worse. So well, I know my real worth. I will continue to heal with each verse. That's my life path, truly breaking free. And some of them don't like that, don't even know what I've been through. Had to get my life back, some of them gave up. Well, me, I had to strike back and fight back. Now I'm feeling lighter, though I'm still breathing fire. Yeah, the dragon, I fly high. Open up my eye, life's like a sci-fi. Won't stop me from going sky high to the realm of self-love. The feeling of healing, revealing my beauty within. Stay focused, no stress. Every time I learn, I know less. It's a slow step, I'm enjoying the walk. It's not a race, can't see the view when it's too fast and blurry. I like to be slow, no hurry. Must be a witch, cause they burn me. Green, I work with what's earthly, you can't hurt me.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland.
My life path, truly breaking free. And some of them don't like that, don't even know what I've been through. Had to get my life back, some of them gave up. Well, me, I had to strike back and fight back. Now I'm feeling lighter, though I'm still breathing fire. Yeah, the dragon, I fly high. Open up my eye, life's like a sci-fi. Won't stop me from going sky high. My music sets me free, it's therapy. I hope it helps a few people other than me. I noticed many liked it better when I was angry. Took off, nowhere to be seen on my journey. Funny how that works. Start to feel better, and the people who claim to love me start to feel worse. So well, I know my real worth. I will continue to heal with each verse. And I know who really loves me out there. Thank you. I love you too. Keep fighting. Keep shining light. Don't give up. Don't let the demons win.
You have to let it all go. Fear, doubt, disbelief.
Free your mind. Indeed, we have to look beyond the frame of consensus, right? And there you can change the world. You are special. Know that. Know that you are loved wherever you're watching, whether it's the US, Canada, maybe some parts of Africa. Who knows? Who knows? Just spread this. This is my only request. Spread this. This is serious issues, right? And we're doing this for free, giving you a perspective on what's going on in the world. So I thank you all for watching, and we'll see each other next time.